Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video for 2016. That's right folks, I'm Andrew from Media World 01, back with a very special, very specific review for the brand new X-Files series, the Return series. I've been massively pumped to check this one out. As some of you may have known from my previous videos, I'm a huge X-Files fan. I have loved it since growing up as a kid. I've watched the series quite a few many times over the years. I'm currently rewatching them on amazing high definition Blu-ray, which I highly recommend if you're a fan of the X-Files show, definitely to get them on Blu-ray high definition. And of course the new episode recently was just released, and oh wow, it's great to have these nostalgic, familiar, probably one of the best sci-fi properties in TV history. That's ascended 9 seasons and 2 movies, and now it's finally, after huge demand from the hardcore fan base, a brand new 6-episode event series to bring back the characters and hopefully to bring some fresh ideas and close off the main mythology that we desperately want to seek answers and kind of to see closure within the show. Whether the show is going to take that in this direction or not is yet to be seen. Under this first episode review, by the end of the episode, by the end of the 6 episodes, it might go in a different direction. It might close. It might finish it. Who knows at this point? But for my first episode review, I had to talk about it. I had to get my opinions out there. And of course, this is going to be a mild spoiler review. I'm not going to give away too much. I'm going to do a little bit more of a spoiler section towards the end of this video. So let's talk about the X-Files Return. So of course, if you're a true X-Files fan, or if you're first time coming into the actual show itself, you'll know this is a 6-episode event. The first episode and the 6th episode is a hardcore mythology episodes. The episodes in between are more of the kind of monster of the week or the kind of comedy episode. They're basically just like a bit of extra flavour to what's going on in the actual show, to give these characters a bit more light, to explore them a bit more since this kind of 13-year departure from the original series and of course the movie, things like that. And I think this is a really cool idea. Instead of having a 2-hour movie, for instance, where they just kind of cram as much as they can in, it's nice to have a 6-episode or a 6-hour long, if you see it that way, exploring these characters since what they've been, where their state of mind is, and how they feel about going back into this world again. And I think it's very interesting. The first episode, of course, is called My Struggle, and the last episode is called My Struggle as well. And it's about 13 years events from the season 9 finale, or about 7 or 8 years from the actual I Want to Believe. It actually works quite well. That's the way I want to see it, because I Want to Believe was more about the character's state of mind and where they are and what they're up to, and they've kind of moved on and just kind of said, we've lost the battle, there's nothing else we can do at this point. And then them just moving on. This is bringing them back into that world of the X-Files and the world of shady organisations and conspiracy, and I think it explores them in a very fair way from the I Want to Believe movie and from the original series. I like the fact that they acknowledged, straight away from the first kind of few minutes, the fact that these are older versions of the characters. Dana's kind of moved on, she's into the medical field, she's become an actual doctor, she's assisting with the kind of surgeries and actually helping people. I like the fact that she's kind of beaten down. These characters are kind of like, got to a point where they're saying like, we've kind of lost the good fight in a good sense for a long time, and they've sort of been brought back into this world, and it's kind of daunting on them. They've had a kid, they've been in a relationship, and they're saying this loud and clear, folks. And I really like that. It's the idea of My Struggle, and that's a very appropriate title for the actual theme of the episode. It's Mulder once again getting back into this world, finding out something. He's being on fire. He wants to believe, he wants the truth, and he's tired of all these kind of dark corners or shady alleys, constantly left, right and centre, debunking him all the time. He needs something solid, he needs something substantial to actually prove his theories of the X-Files and their worth and their value. I really like how the episode goes about taking the original mythology ideas, it actually uses them, it continues it on in a very interesting way on what the actual characters thought, in terms of what Mulder thought, in terms of the idea the date has been set, 2012, the alien invasion will begin. I honestly believe the alien invasion has already begun in secrecy. The super soldiers were an instant hint into that idea of them kind of taking over and lookalikes kind of thing, and I think that storyline is still very valid. I think something else is going on at the same time by the looks of it, because the ideas in the episode, it states that you're close, you just gotta kind of find it, and it kind of sets out to kind of saying this exists, this is not what you thought it was, and it kind of shakens up our ideas of what we previously thought was going to happen within the actual core mythology. It acknowledges the facts that have come before us. It's basically turning it in a very different direction and allowing these new ideas and now the new state of mind in which we live in, and the idea of our technologies, the way we shop, the way we kind of interact with people, things like that. It's all monitored, it's all catalogued and things like that, exploring those ideas in a much more richer, much more kind of darker way than ever before. Introducing one of the main characters in the episode, this conspiracy theorist, from the actor that was in Community. I forgot the actor's name itself, but he was a really interesting factor into the episode. Saw kind of, the X-Files and Dana Scully and Mulder as kind of a legend who were the X-Files in a sense. And as a first episode, I think it takes the mythology in a new direction while incorporating the original mythology. It takes the characters back into that world of the X-Files again. It's very scary for them. It's very overwhelming, very daunting. Much like for the audience itself, the characters kind of beaten down a little bit. They kind of, they've lost a good fight, and they're basically saying we've got a chance to basically kind of redeem or kind of fix what was done back in the original show's arc. So my final vote and rating for the first episode, My Struggle, I want to give it a very strong 3.5 out of 5. And the reason I give this 4 is the fact that this is part 1 of a piece of pie in a sense. We've got a nice big taster, and it's very tasty, it's very lovely, and I want more, and I do want more. A higher rating once I've seen the entire context of the actual show, where it's taking it. But in terms of their first episode, interesting ideas for the new mythology, a new direction, and taking the ideas of the original mythology and stretching it and taking it new properties. It doesn't beat around the bush anymore in terms of the mythology and the actual characters. It's great to see the characters back and see ideas of their struggles and their kind of defeats and kind of skepticism in terms of this guy saying, I got something to show you, I got something big. I'm curious to see where they're going to take this. And the next episode, episode 2, looks really interesting. I think some of these episodes in between, these Monster of the Weeks and Creepy Factor episodes, are going to be great to see them back in action again. I think some of the negativity and I think some of the hatred already that's starting to already build up, I think is a bit silly. I think in terms of the first episode, it offers a real lot for the actual hardcore fans and for people that haven't seen it as well. Okay, so the very brief spoiler section I'm going to do here, guys. Basically, the episode itself, I really liked where they took it, and the fact at the end of the episode we had the Smoky Man. He's back, folks. Which we kind of knew from the trailers and synopsis that was going in the episodes anyway. But it's nice to see in the context of how he's back. Now it's very interesting the fact that he is in the end of the episode. If you notice, he's got burns on his arms. His face doesn't look quite right. It's all kind of pieces together. I'm very curious to see how the hell he's back. I love the fact that they brought the original actor back, of course. I think he's classic to the actual mythology of the original show and the X-Files. He is one of the main characters, he's one of the signature villains, and to get a signature villain to come back that's been killed God knows how many times is really interesting, really funny. So that's been my review for the first episode of the newest series of the X-Files, episode 1, My Struggle. Very excited to see episode 2, which I will do a review for pretty much tomorrow or the next day after, whenever we get time to do it. I'm very excited for this series to be back. I'm very curious to see where they take it within this 6-episode event series, and whether it leads on to a movie or closure is yet to be determined. But in terms of the first episode, it returns back very strong and fresh ideas while bouncing off the original source material of the original series, which is absolutely great. So what are your thoughts and opinions, guys, on the new episode? Please comment down below. Please put your conspiracies and your theories into it. I always love to know what's going on and kind of piece together what you think is going to happen in the actual series. I'm really loving it so far. So in the meantime, Andrew Wood from Media World Film Game TV. This is Andrew, signing out.